Packers will have a first and goal. Receiver to the right, Jimmy Graham. Rodgers, quick toss in the flat, left side, got his man for the end zone, and a touchdown.
First and Goal podcast on Spreaker.com. And we're now on all your favorite platforms: iHeartRadio, Spotify, CastBox, Google Podcasts, Tumblr, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can always follow us on Twitter at First and Goal Pod, and our Facebook page, facebook.com/First and Goal Pod 33.
Get money, yeah. Every day I'm hustling. 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 3, 2, 1.
And welcome, everybody, to another live edition of First and Goal with me, your founder and producer, Jay in the UP. And always down in Georgia, your host with the most, it's Dave.
What's going on, First and Goalers?
Yeah, it is our Heart and Skol Vikings podcast, Week 2, Packers vs. Vikings Sunday preview matchup show. That's a mouthful.
Man, the fact that we're having back-to-back rivalries of the NFC North to start the season, it's just fun, man. Like, it just brings back the days of seeing the teams play for decades and decades and decades, and all the way back to Fran Tarkenton and going through the stages of Brett Favre and him jumping over to the Vikings and getting Aaron Rodgers to step in. I mean, it's some of the best NFL history.
Well, and you know what else is kind of weird? It's a little deja vu from the past couple of years, because I believe this is the third year in a row we've played the Vikings Week 2.
Yes.
And it's
the second year in a row we had Bears and Vikings.
Bears-Vikings to open the season back-to-back weeks 1 and 2 in that exact order. So it's a little deja vu-y too. But, yeah, look, if we can do what we think we are going to be able to do and come out, you're not only 2-0 for the season, but 2 games up on the division. So these are huge.
That's games. A biggie, especially with having a home stretch to start that season.
This early in the year, that really can help in playoff implications. Yes, I'm already saying it, because it is division games, not only conference games but division games. So there's a double whammy here, and then you go to the Broncos, and then after that, I believe Week 4, isn't that another division game?
Yeah, I think that's Detroit, Lions? Isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Either that or it's the Eagles, something like that.
I think you're right. I think that goes the Eagles in Week 5 is the Lions, and then we go on to the Chiefs, I think, or the Cowboys. I think it's the Cowboys
so
and the Chiefs.
There's a lot of division and conference games right away in this first 6 weeks. So these are
very, very big
already, and I know it's like, oh my God, he's already saying playoffs, but at the end of the year, these games and the fact the defense, we keep talking about the defense. We talked about it a lot last night with Andy Herman. If you didn't listen to that episode, go back and listen to it. It was a great episode. Lots of great information from Mr. Andy Herman. Lots of great information from us. It was a lot of fun to talk with him.
Especially Adrian Busby.
Yeah, the fantasy stuff, look, great. Go back, listen to last night's episode. Do we have any news updates today that doesn't entail X-rated readings, sir?
Yes, there's going to be no more of that. But Hunter Henry actually got the same injury Aaron Rodgers did, the tibial plateau fracture. and he's going to be sitting out 4 to 6 weeks, possibly even longer. And I'm just going to take a tidbit here and say, I'm being a homer, I got this, but it shows how much of a warrior Rodgers was last year. He started all 16 games with this injury, and it made Hunter Henry and J.J. Watt drop out. And they're two pretty tough guys outside of that, and they can't play with it, and Rodgers can. And everyone tells me it's a different injury. Not really. If you have a fracture on your tibial plateau, it's the same exact injury, and Rodgers played through it. So that shows he literally carried the franchise last year trying to make it so they're not going a first overall pick.
And let me say this, too. To say that it's, well, he's a quarterback, it's not as significant. That was on his left leg, which is the leg that is most – that's the leg you end
plants
up,
on it.
You plant on it dry, you're driving off your back foot for your power, but that's your accuracy part. And that, the fact that he still only threw 2 interceptions that were both off of the same receiver, Jimmy Graham's hands, is amazing. Even with the 155 throwaways, which was an NFL record, okay? Because before this, for decades, okay, decades of my life, which has only been going on 3.5 now, but ever since I've been a little kid, I've listened to people talk about, well, sometimes the smart play for a quarterback is to throw the ball away. And then all I heard last year is, well, he always throws the ball away. Well, you know what? You can't have your cake and eat it too. And it's not a two-way highway. If it requires that many throwaways just so that you can get to the next down, and a lot of times he made something happen still. He did have over 4,500 yards last year. Was it like 4,300 yards? I mean, it was
about a little under 4,400, I believe.
Yeah, so, I mean, come on now. I mean, like, everybody's talking about this terrible season he had, and yet he was still a top 15 quarterback on a fractured leg. And I harped on him. I'm on him. So don't give me this, I'm a homer, because I was just been sitting here. I went with it with Andy last night. He mentioned it. We got into it about the mechanics and how we're on his butt about it. Okay? So don't give me this homer crap when it comes to Aaron Rodgers either, because we have the proof. It's on tape.
We expect that level of play from him year in and year out from years past. That's why we nitpick at the mechanics and stuff like that, guys.
We can nitpick at mechanics and still, at the other hand, give him his respect for what he was able to do on that injury last year. And if you want to call it a pass, fine, it's a pass. I'm not even going to fight the term because you know what, damn it, sometimes you deserve a bit of a pass. Because those
especially when your head coach gets fired.
Well, yeah.
And you have to basically play out on a broken system for the rest of the year.
And let's be real. Like I said, his stats for most quarterbacks would be he would have been, oh yeah, and they would have been praising him and projecting him to have a great season going into this with this new system. But because it's Aaron Rodgers, and again, I'm going to say it because I honestly believe this. At some point, post Aaron Rodgers' career, we're going to find out, whether it be from him or whoever it was, what exactly Aaron Rodgers did to certain media members that just absolutely irked them to the point where they will never appreciate his career because they're so blinded by their just outright hatred basically for him and hating on him to the degree of no other quarterback I've seen with his talent be treated like this through national media. I'm just so curious, honestly, Dave, of what he did that rubbed those few people. Because it's 5 or 6 people. And they all kind of worked at the same place back then, too, is the familiarity here. That's kind of funny. They've all moved on to different networks, but they all came from the same area back in that era of 2007, 2008.
I'm thinking he wouldn't give that maybe that company they all came from maybe an interview. Maybe he had to cancel or something, and they kind of took it to heart, and it's been the negative boat ride the whole way. And I mean, hey, you know what? More power to him because more negative talk about Rodgers. He seems to put a chip on his shoulder from it. No pun intended, because he does have the screws on both shoulders. But the thing is, hey, you know what? That's more impressive. What was it, 14 titanium screws in the right shoulder of his throwing arm, and he still put up 25 TDs and 2 interceptions. That's another thing, guys. I think the throwing was off last year and maybe a little bit at the beginning of this year because of not the healing, but the throwing motion with that shoulder and the screws in there.
You know, I've never actually considered maybe that did change some of what's going on. And
you literally have 2 plates on each side of his collarbone with 14 titanium screws going through his shoulder.
I kind of feel dumb now that I failed to even think of that because I'm pretty good about that. I've never honestly. I wonder how many people have actually given that some thought. We're going to have to start asking that to people of how many people have thought about that maybe that's affected his mechanics and him having to retool a little bit. Maybe he's.
I've heard no one else mention it until now.
Well, I haven't because otherwise I would have mentioned it before. I would have remembered it. I've never. That's. Right here. There. See you go. It's how smart sometimes we are without even trying.
See, the dancing bear can say it too.
Oh, stop.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, it's not just the throwaways last year. If you just watch some of the passes, I mean, in 17 before he got hurt, he was 4-1 with the Packers. They were rolling through the record. They just beat Dallas. And he was dropping dimes left and right with the Rodgers we saw before. In 18, he comes back with that surgically repaired shoulder and 14 screws, 2 titanium plates. I mean, literally, his shoulder was rebuilt from nothing after having that full break fully across. And with that, you're going to have to relearn how to throw with that accuracy. You're going to have to learn because that collarbone is going to twist with that throw every single time.
Never thought of it like that. That's a good point.
So maybe if you see a pass goes in the dirt, maybe he needs to throw a little bit more touch instead of oomph because that's the thing. Trying to heal up those muscles around that collarbone, brother, that's like, I mean, I had rotator cuff and labrum repair on my right shoulder, and I only gained 80% of my strength back. So Rodgers had the ability to learn how to touch the ball instead of strength it and still have enough zip on it.
I'm literally 5 years post between they weren't sure, but between 4 and 6 breaks of C7 in my neck because I did not know it was broken for about 6 months, and it took me
quit doing dumb stuff, Jay.
It took me about 4 years to get the strength built up around my shoulders and neck to be able to function the way I was able to before, and then get beyond that. So. Yeah, and 2 of those years were just basically laying around feeling sorry for myself and not doing crap either. So it can take time. I understand that.
Well, you know what? I'm going to move on to something else that instead of getting down about our injuries, I'm going to say this. Another injury, Quincy Enunwa, wide receiver for the Jets, was number 2 on the roster. And it looked like he was going to have a very good season and just out for the season. He has a very bad neck injury. That's why I had to piggyback off that because it looks like it's the C7 in his neck that's having a problem.
And let me tell you, that's a crappy place because a little higher, and I know it seems funny, but C7 is like right where your shoulder, like right above your shoulder blades, and you know where your neck muscle, that trapezoid muscle is. And so that right there has got, and that's my problem, is I have a nerve clusters healed in the scar bone that form from all the breaks, and it start to heal, and I'd break it again. And it's very annoying, and even the doctor said, he goes, he would have liked to seen it even one higher or one lower just for the purposes of pain and longevity. So that could be an injury just because of its placement. That could be more of a problem than if it was a little higher or a little lower, quite honestly. Just in my experience. I mean, I'm not a professional.
Oh, no, yeah, that's fine. I was just stating, I when you heard this say that, it reminded me of Quincy Enunwa. So, I mean, that's what it brought to my mind. But you know what? Enough of me blabbering. How about we get to our guest, JB?
Oh, you're talking about the guy that's coming on from Heart and Skol.
Little bit of Skol fever coming in today.
Well, you know what though? Before we get to that, we must have to. Before we get to that, Dave, you know what we got to do?
Will remind me.
It's about that time because you know what? If you don't get enough banter on this show, you want to go to NFL Addictions on Facebook.com. for all of your NFL chat.